wheels, brother.
This is the Run Pod Option. I'm Marty.
I'm Kyle.
And we are missing Jeff. For those following along, it was Kyle that missed last week. Jeff is actually in Colorado. If you listened to the last episode, you heard us talk a little bit about the Steve Addazio hire and the nepotism / cronyism. So Jeff decided to drive out there himself and take care of business. So we should have at least a cell phone recording of him getting taken off the campus as he tries to address Steve Addazio.
Or he's going to go out there and try to implement some Dan Hawkins justice. Intramural team, brother.
That's a great callback into the intro. So, RunPod Option on Twitter. Follow us, runpodoption@gmail.com. If you have a second, it's the holiday season, the Christmas season, right? Give the gift of RunPod Option to your friends and family. Hopefully you're enjoying this on one of those drives, either to and from. But spread the word. And if you want to, throw us a review or rating. It really helps us in terms of the charts and kind of gaining listeners here and there. If not, no big deal. We enjoy you guys listening to us, which
it's all about the charts, guys.
It's all about the charts. And honestly, I feel blessed when I see how many people download this show as it is. And it's just
hashtag blessed?
Hashtag blessed, certainly. So where Jeff and I left off was the Hawaii Bowl. And what Kyle and I are going to cover are the bowl games from the Independence Bowl all the way through to January 1st and ending on the Sugar Bowl with Baylor and Georgia. So we're going to go in chronological order. We're going to skip over the playoff games. We're going to address those at the very, very end of the show. So if that's all you're interested in, I'd skip ahead when there's 20 minutes left. Feel free. Because some of these games, I'm going to be honest with you, not so good.
Yeah, but do you really just want to fast forward to talk about 4 teams that we've talked about all year?
That's a good point. Yeah, and really, who doesn't get excited when they see Eastern Michigan and Pittsburgh play one another? All right, I'm going too far. Kyle, before we kick off, do you have anything? How was your time at Universal Studios?
It was wonderful. Kind of weird that it seems like every restaurant you go to, they don't know how to deal with an allergy, but whatever, that's fine. Everything else is great. They went over the top, they took super, super good care of it, but it was every time we went somewhere, it'd be like, oh, you have an allergy? Before you even tell me what you want, we need to have our head chef come out and talk to you. I feel like that's unnecessary. I've lived with this for 34 years, and I kind of know what to avoid. I'm going to let you know what I want. Just go see if that's fine. If not, come let me know, and I'll choose something else.
So if you were in Universal Studios for the last week and a half or 2 weeks and you had really long lines at a restaurant, Kyle is the guy to blame because they stopped down everything to address his nut allergy.
No, it was really bad at one of the Harry Potter places, which was really weird because the day before we had eaten at another Harry Potter place. They had the same exact menu for breakfast. Exact same thing. First day, they went back, they just checked, said, hey, you can't have the croissant. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Went the next day, and I got a different breakfast, but still had the croissant, and I go, hey, I know I can't have the croissant, just want to make sure that everything else on here is cool. And they said, oh, we need to get our head chef. It took them forever to bring him out, and the people behind us got real, real angry. And we had to they were whispering to each other, oh, he's ordering something that's not on the menu. Blah. I had to turn around and be like, no, see, I've got an allergy, and they're making me talk to the head. You defended
yourself?
Yes, I did.
Good on you.
Yeah. It's real fun.
We're going to have Miami defending a 500 record against Louisiana Tech for the Independence Bowl. What a segue. What an absolute segue. There's not much I have on this. Louisiana Tech's pretty good. Miami's been pretty atrocious. And Miami's got more talent, though. I think we could probably both agree there.
Yeah.
I just don't know which quarterback shows up for Jaron Williams. He's been sometimes really good, sometimes really bad. So we're going to also pick these. Jeff has sent his picks in, so I'm going to kind of fill that in as we go.
Sure. Miami is just kind of there right now. I've also heard some weird rumblings of, are they sick of Manny Diaz? I'm like, dude, this is his first year.
Yeah, and he pulled in a good recruiting class, and on top of, and he has had a lot of people in the transfer portal, but I don't think that's an indication that he's a bad coach. And And I'm going to point to David Shaw here at Stanford because he's literally had, I think, 16 players now enter the transfer portal. Like it's kind of our new reality.
Well, it's also a product of a new regime.
Yes, yeah, that's normal. I mean, there was probably I'm not going to pull it up, but I'm sure there were plenty last year that left when Mark Richt left, right?
Yeah.
And even more so, at least entered them. And just because they entered themselves in the transfer portal doesn't mean they're going anywhere. If they don't get picked up, they can return back. It's not like they're severing ties.
It's the Tinder of college football.
It really is the Tinder of college. You know what? That's a really good way to put it. So Louisiana Tech probably has 11 wins if their quarterback, Jamar Smith, doesn't go down through part of the year. It's unfortunate. They're still 9-3, a chance to win 10 games. Jeff has picked Miami. I'm actually picking Louisiana Tech. We're going to be picking these games straight up. Kyle, who do you have?
Here's the first question. What's the record between me and Jeff?
That is a great question, and it's one that I was clearly not prepared to answer. But
Ooh.
Here, let's go this. So as of the last time I updated these, you were down 17 picks to Jeff.
Okay.
And at the time of our most recent picks, he's picked 2 more games better than you, so that makes it a full 19. We're covering, I think, 24 games today, so if you wanted to play this game again, there's 5
This is a
picks
great time to play this game.
It's really the only time, right? It's the only time to do it. So you're going to get on the Louisiana Tech Bulldog bandwagon with me? I'm
going to jump on the La Tech Bulldog bandwagon.
Let's do it.
You know what? Fuck Manny Diaz. He should be fired.
I agree. I'm not going to go into any notes here. We have the Quick Lane Bowl. We have Pittsburgh and Eastern Michigan. Happy for Eastern Michigan that they're at 6-6.
Never happy for Pittsburgh.
Never happy for Pittsburgh, but they're 7-5 and they're 11-point favorites. So Jeff has Pittsburgh. I've got Pittsburgh.
I'm not going to do it on this one. Give me Pittsburgh.
Oh, this is...
Do you know how much that hurts me?
Yeah, that's Kyle, for any new listeners, big Syracuse fan, not a big fan of Pitt. In fact, I've heard him cuss Pitt for the last 13 or 14 years we've known each other.
Yeah, they're worthless.
Oh,
good for them.
What? This podcast is bringing out the worst in you, Kyle. You've abandoned all your morals. Everything you've hated, you have... Yeah, that's a good point.
This is a podcast of depravity for me, okay?
There's actually a really good bowl game next. So we're moving on to December 27th on Friday, the Military Bowl. We have North Carolina and Temple. North Carolina had to finish the season pretty strong to get to 6 wins. Sam Howell, I think All-American freshman quarterback, like number 1 with a bullet. Temple, some unfortunate games. They did beat Memphis, then they ended up losing to Navy, they ended up losing to SMU, and they dropped a couple other ones throughout here. This one's interesting to me because it's a strength versus strength. North Carolina's got a really good passing offense with Sam Howell, and Temple has a good defense. They're the 8th most efficient pass defense. And on the other side of the ball, Temple, pretty meh offense. They can light it up sometimes. They're not very consistent. And North Carolina defense leaves a lot to the imagination. Jeffrey has picked Temple. I will be picking North Carolina. Kyle, who do you have?
Oh, against my better judgment, I'm going to go UNC.
Mac Brown, 7 wins if this is the case, if you and me are correct. I don't think we had a win prediction total, but there's no way I would have said 7 wins.
No, that team was a dumpster fire last year.
Yeah, it was a dumpster fire that lost a lot of close games last year, and I would have figured with the turnover and not understanding maybe how good Mac Brown's hires were, which credit to him, I definitely saw them going 4-8 before I saw them even touching 6 wins.
He danced his way into everybody's hearts, man.
He really did. Another 6-6 team, we have the Pinstripe Bowl, Michigan State and Wake Forest. At one point, Wake Forest was 8-1. Yeah, that's. I think if once Sage Surratt went down for Wake Forest, their top receiver, they really had a hard time. They have the ugliest handoff in football, which if you watch this game, you'll understand. Hell, they even lost to Syracuse, and Michigan State lost 5 games in a row this year.
That's a good loss.
It's a good loss for Wake.
That's the best 5-7 team in the country.
Better question, quick question, and just it's a one-word answer, or I guess two, depending on the school you pick. Better win, Western Michigan or Wake Forest? And now that I think about it, both of them have 2 words. So go ahead. For Syracuse, which one's a better win?
Wake Forest, it's conference.
Yeah, but Western Michigan's good. All right, so I have Wake Forest winning. Michigan State's actually favored in this game by 4 points. I'm not totally sure how. I know they're coming off a big win against Rutgers. And everyone looks good against Rutgers, so I'm curious. Kyle, who do you have? Jeff has Wake Forest.
Michigan State.
Ooh.
They've got all the momentum coming off that Rutgers game.
They asked D'Antonio about whether or not one of the recruits that he visited reportedly asked him about the offensive staff and whether or not he was going to be making a change. And he told them that he is actually just going to be reshuffling it again. And that's the truth. And it's just like, how many times can you fuck up, man? How many times can you just not learn your lesson?
Listen, Michigan State is kind of where offense goes to die. That or Georgia. I don't know which one. But they're going to win this game. They are. Wake Forest, I feel like they're the great pretender of this year.
8-4 is nothing to be
no, it's a good year.
Shy about, but it's also.
But you were 8-1 at one point.
Yeah, I mean, you lose your best player though, right? I know. Is
he going to be back?
No, he's not.
Exactly. What makes me think that anything different's going to happen?
Well, I don't know. Maybe you like Clausen. I really don't have a good answer for you. But it's the 39th scoring offense against the 37th scoring defense, which I thought was a little interesting note. We've got a former Big 12 game. We've got the Texas Bowl, Texas A&M, Oklahoma State. The big question for me, we don't know if Spencer Sanders is going to be back. Drew Brown filled in for him. He didn't do spectacular. Spencer Sanders had surgery on his finger. They will have Chuba Hubbard still, so that's good. For A&M side, I don't know which A&M we get either because they've been so hot and cold, and they're coming off losses to Georgia, losses to LSU, so they're going to see Oklahoma State's defense and I imagine think, well, at least we got a day off. Comparatively, Oklahoma State's not awful, but they're not Georgia and LSU, especially with LSU down the stretch. The big thing for me, Justin Matabuke, the interior lineman for Texas A&M, he's going to be missing this game. And that tells me that Oklahoma State has a really good chance to take advantage with Chuba Hubbard. Jeff has Oklahoma State. I, despite just giving the Cowboys a chance, will be picking Texas A&M.
I'm actually going to take Texas A&M and feel kind of good about it. Just because I don't think that even if Spencer Sanders is back, I don't think he's going to be 100%. And that offense, I know that Chuba Hubbard's there, but that offense is a lot more dynamic with Sanders there and 100%.
I agree.
Give me Texas A&M at that point, and as much as I hate to say it, because they're just so meh.
Well, I think you'll hear that they're the best 7-5 team in the country because they've had just a murderer's row of a schedule, and despite it maybe being true, it's still really funny. It's still kind of a ridiculous. Like, what did Syracuse finish?
5-7.
Do you think they're the best 5-7 team in the country? Is that not just kind of like an asinine argument?
I just said they were the best 5-7 team in the country, but
did you? I don't obviously listen. I guess when
you shouldn't listen to me because it's obvious Homer bias. But I mean, Syracuse is fine, but this is about Texas A&M. It's kind of just falling into that same deal of I just don't know how great Jimbo Fisher is. And we'll see again. I mean, they got a top 10 recruiting class. We'll see what they do. I still think that their ceiling is like 8 wins. Yeah,
at least until Saban is gone. And
but then
now
we got
you have
Eddie
to wonder about Edo. Yeah, and now you got Lane Kiffin. And also, by the way, you got Pittman in Arkansas, who just brought in a banger defensive coordinator in Barry Odom and a banger offensive coordinator in oh my God, I just went brain dead on his name.
Baby. DeBaby?
Baby Bryles, not DeBaby. God dang it. Kendall Bryles. They just brought him in as an offensive coordinator.
Baby Bryles.
Baby Bryles is what I was going for, and I just had like a brain fart. I don't know what happened. It is going to be interesting seeing the Jimbo versus a guy with a Jimbo haircut. A Styles Make Fights game in the Holiday Bowl. We have Iowa and USC. The last time these teams met, Kyle, do you know when it was?
I have no idea. I'm going to say.
Well, let me tell you the year, and I want you to guess the quarterback.
1987.
No, it's 2002. But who was the USC quarterback in 2002?
Carson Palmer.
Carson Palmer, and let me tell you something about Carson. I don't have anything on Carson Palmer. So,
you surprised I went Carson Palmer right there?
No, I'm not, because honestly, I don't know who else I would have guessed. Did you think I was going to go
Matt Leinart?
No, because I know Leinart was later. Like, Leinart was when we met.
He was like a year later.
Was he?
Yeah.
I don't. He coached. He played in 2005.
Yeah.
In the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
So I guess he could have played 03, 04. I'm not going to look it up because we've got so many games to go through. So, Keaton Slovis, he's going to be playing.
It's not Carson Palmer.
It's not Carson Palmer, but he's good. And the thing that helps me in my decision here is the fact that Graham Harrell's staying, and so is Clay Helton. They've had a pretty good year. They beat Utah, which is something. Iowa's also had a really good year. They just had an unfortunate loss to Michigan, Penn State, and Wisconsin, a total of 14 points in those 3 losses. So I think they're there for the fight too. I am going to go with USC here, and I don't know why, other than I love Graham Harrell. So
that was exactly why you're going with this.
Yeah, so that's definitely why. And I want to respect Iowa here. So Nate Stanley's gone 2-0 in bowl games. This is a chance to, I think, end his career and be 3-0 in bowls. Nate Stanley has been chucking the ball a lot more this year because they don't have the running game they traditionally have. On the flip side of it, USC cannot really stop the run. USC's receivers are something that I don't think Iowa's really seen all year from either Michigan, Penn State, or Wisconsin. USC wide receiver Michael Pittman, he is going to be playing. There's a lot of variables here, man. I'm going to go USC because I think that they... I mean, this is the Rose Bowl light, right? This is the Rose Bowl.
Kind of is, yeah.
So I'm going to pick USC, and they're going to ride high on that 78th ranked recruiting class. Jeffrey has picked Iowa.
Oh, he would. Big Ten homer. Give me USC. I think they got more playmakers. I think that they have a chance to blow it open, honestly. I've seen Iowa play some games where they just looked like they couldn't get out of their own way when it comes to offense. But, yeah, I could see USC kind of blowing this open and making it a weird, like, 44-30 game because Iowa somehow gets, like, some points.
Yeah, it does feel like Iowa's worst games are whenever there's either crazy blitzes or a defensive line that's pressuring them consistently. I don't think USC has that. So I think Nate Stanley probably stays upright more often this game than he did in those 3 losses, and that benefits them. Another point in Iowa's favor, let's not forget that when Iowa prevented Nebraska from going to a bowl game this year, the Iowa kicker, after kicking the game winner, blew a kiss to the Nebraska sideline. So it's not like Iowa doesn't have a little swagger either.
That's fine, but I mean, Nebraska isn't good. USC is at least, can put up a fight. Don't give me Nebraska shit. I'm so just not here for Nebraska and Scott Frost right now. Like, that's fine. Scott Frost can be there, and they can be mediocre at best. That'll be fun. Good for them. This is USC.
You? No. How dare you on Scott Frost Day of all days?
Is this Scott Frost Day?
Every day is Scott Frost Day.
No, that's a dirty lie.
So what was not bad was last year's Cheez-It Bowl, the 10-7 overtime thriller between Cal and TCU.
Yes, that wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. It was honestly, it was a thing of beauty because I think, if I remember correctly, there might have been 11 turnovers. Like, it was absolutely insane. This year, I think we're going to have another fun game, but in a different way. We have the 6-6 Washington State Cougars against the 10-2 Air Force Falcons. Another styles make fights. We just left an air raid versus a grinded out type of team. Air Force is a little bit more vertical than your normal triple option. Washington State cannot stop really anything defensively. Washington State are 5th in S&P plus offensively and 94th defensively. Air Force is 26th offensively, easy for me to say, and 56th defensively. So who has the higher average? This game's going to be nuts, dude. I'm so excited for this game.
So dumb.
It's going to be so insane. So Hammond III, Air Force's quarterback, he's going to be someone to watch. If you haven't watched any Air Force games, he's a lot of fun. For Washington State, Anthony Gordon is putting everything Gardner Minshew did last year to shame.
Yeah.
And they have a running back named Max Borghi who is like an absolute baller.
I'll say it again. He's Christian McCaffrey light, man.
He really is. He really is. And this decision has been actually really hard for me because in my bowl pick'em, I picked Washington State. I think that it's going to be a really close game, but I think Borghi's probably going to throw for 6 touchdowns.
Borghi's going to throw for 6 touchdowns.
Anthony Gordon is.
What a game he's going to have.
They're just going to run nothing but trick plays. It's going to be. They're going to actually do the triple option, and then he's going to drop back to pass and just really shove it up Air Force's ass.
Nah, what's going to happen is Borghi's going to just go straight under center. He's going to be He's going to be back there tapping his toes. He's going to be calling out audibles. It's going to be great.
All 5'8" of them, or however short he is, just trying to jump past it over the offensive lineman. Jeff has picked Air Force.
Okay. That seems like I'm going to go Washington State.
Sounds like this might be easier for you. Just kind of looking over Jeff's picks here, there's not like awful picks, but there's a lot of 50-50s here.
Yeah, it's not like I'm picking South Carolina to cover against Clemson like I was.
Yeah, and as shown so far by our almost 500 across the board bowl picks so far, you really don't know what you're going to get out of these teams. Like you just know. With Boise State, they're the giant killer. They're going to hammer Washington, and they just get absolutely blown out.
Yeah, they get boat raced. Yeah,
just torn apart. App State was down 14-0 at one point, and then they just rally back. So yeah, we really don't know anything here, especially with bowl games. SMU gets freaking hammered.
Hey, I'm just reinforcing that I just don't know shit.
Well, when it comes to bowl games, I don't think I did my homework, and I still don't feel confident about a lot of these picks because there's some really tough ones.
But look at my track record.
You've done, Kyle. You've done well these last 3 or 4
when I'm
weeks.
being a contrarian.
When you're going the opposite, exactly, which means we're starting to make bad picks. Is it less that we're not making good picks, we're making bad picks, and because you're going counter, you're lucking out?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Because I'm trying to defend it after the fact.
Yeah, you're picking up the dollar that somebody dropped. It's not like you earned the dollar; just dropped it.
This is a complete fallacy.
Moving into the December 28th Saturday games, we have the Camping World Bowl, Iowa State versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame lost their offensive coordinator, Chip Long. Tommy Rees, former quarterback Tommy Rees, will actually be calling plays for the first time ever. Iowa State, pretty disappointing season as far as expectations go, I think. But as far as Iowa State goes, 7-5 is really good and a chance to go 8-5 here. I've got Notre Dame. They're 10-2. They're not last year's team, but I think them being in the playoffs last year did them a disservice. I think they were better than what they showed against Clemson. They're just not at that level. You know what I mean?
They should have played Texas or something like that last year.
Agreed. No, absolutely. Or another shot at Georgia.
Yeah.
Just 2 games against Georgia in the same year. So Jeff also picked Notre Dame. Who have you got? Do you have Brock Purdy?
Oh, man. As much as I want to, no, I'm going to go Notre Dame on this one. I like Iowa State, just not enough to really make a difference.
Even though Jeff isn't here, I will tell the joke that he would say, which is, it's Matt Campbell playing his future team because it's by all indications, this is his next job whenever Kelly steps down.
No, whenever Brian Kelly does something so egregious that he gets thrown off the team.
Yeah. Well,
as our Lord and Savior Mike Reiner says,
Cotton Bowl is Memphis and Penn State. This game excited me until I realized Norvell was going to Florida State. And I think that Memphis still has a really good shot here. They've actually got a pretty good defense. They've got a very good offense. Penn State has an incredible defense, 7th overall, but they don't have much of an offense. It's been very spotty all year. I'm thinking, kind of looking back at the Penn State-Minnesota game, where Minnesota got them with some high-level receivers. Memphis has a similar situation, and they have a lot of weapons. I don't think it's going to be enough because James Franklin is going to... I don't know. James Franklin and Penn State is who I've got winning this, which I say unfortunately because I think that if Norvell stuck around, I'd pick Memphis with a bullet. But there's a little bit of doubt there for me. Jeff also picked Penn State. Surprise.
Yeah, Homer. I've picked against Memphis way too much this year to do it again. Give me Memphis.
They're your Hawaii.
I can't. Yeah, I can't really justify why I'm saying. I've picked against them way too many times this year, and they've bitten me in the ass way too many times.
So we're going to skip over the playoff games for now. We're going to skip over to December 30th, Monday, the First Responders Bowl, a.k.a. the Western Bowl. We have Western Michigan against Western Kentucky.
Who's a better direction?
Who's more Western?
Yes.
I have 2 notes that have me picking Western Michigan. One is they have Levante Bellamy, who is a baller.
He is.
The second one is they're the only one of these teams that employ Mike Allstott's son. So I'm going Western Michigan here. Jeff is agreeing with me, and he actually wrote me an email personally and said for those very 2 reasons, except he had Mike Allstott's son number 1.
You know, I want to go against Jeff, but I've got to go with the Fighting Mike Allstott's sons and the Fighting Tim Lesters of Western Michigan.
It's so Western
I have a soft
Kentucky
spot for Western Michigan.
So something to watch here. Yeah. Kyle is a frequent user of Western Michigan in NCAA 14 dynasties. Is that right?
That is a true statement.
Okay. So something to keep out an eye for here for Western Kentucky. So they've had a really good year. They are good defensively. They're on the other side of 100 offensively. They're not very good there. But they do have an incredible, relative to their competition, offensive and defensive line. So that might be a factor.
Have you seen that mascot? He looks like a lineman.
He does. He looks like one of the 70s linemen, though. Like he looks like a guy that'd be blocking for Terry Bradshaw.
He looks like Terry Bradshaw.
Well, he's going to be happy with us because we both picked Louisiana Tech on behalf of him.
No, it had nothing to do with him.
You said specifically in a text to me. All right, so we have the Music City Bowl. This is another one that I think might actually be a pretty fun game, but I have no idea who to pick. Louisville, Mississippi State. Louisville's had a real kind of up and down year. They're a whole lot of fun. Mississippi State, I think, is underperformed versus where a lot of us saw them, but that is a credit, I think, to how good their defense was last year because they lost all those guys.
Yeah, Montez Sweat gone.
Yep. So I've got Louisville winning. I don't know how convincingly they will win, and Jeff also has Louisville.
Oh, I really wanted to go Satterfield Saturdays, but give me a...
The game's on a Monday. So it's
they're giving Mississippi
Mondays.
State. Yes, Mississippi State Mondays going on here.
When you put it that way, it's too easy.
It is. Science.
They're also going to have, let me see here, Kylan Hill is going to be playing, which is a big difference maker for Mississippi State, I think. The Redbox Bowl, Illinois, California. Cal has Chase Garber's back. It's an important note. Illinois somehow has won 6 games despite not really being good defensively or offensively. The magic number in this game is 400. Cal is 5-0 when they gain 400 yards of offense. Illinois are 2-5 when allowing that many yards. Cal, that's all I got on it.
What'd Jeff have?
He has Cal.
Okay, I'm happy about this because it's going to be, a little bit like a Christmas miracle because Lovie Smith looks like Santa. And Illinois is going to come out and win this game. Also, Illinois, like, the state of Illinois feels like they use Redbox more than California. So it's only fitting that they win.
Do you think... I really can't. It's incredible logic that I can't really argue with at all. So I'm just going to move on to the Orange Bowl.
Come on. I mean, what do you think they're doing?
I think you're right.
Champagne.
Do you think... I don't really... I respect the state of Illinois. I just want to put that on the record.
Why?
Because my family's from Chicago? That could be a decent enough reason.
Fine, I guess.
Part of my family. The family I don't talk to anymore, so maybe not.
There you go.
Even more of the reason to go Cal. That's why I picked Cal. Yes, sir. So Orange Bowl. We have Virginia and Florida. It's Bryce Perkins versus Florida.
Exactly.
Virginia's going to be missing one of their best cornerbacks. Florida has had a few players also announce that they're not going to be playing because they're going to be going for the NFL and making sure they stay healthy. One of those people is Jonathan Grenard, who posed probably the biggest threat to Bryce Perkins' safety behind the line of scrimmage. I think Kyle Trask is going to find success early and often, and Virginia is coming off of giving up 300 yards per game in 4 of its last 5 games. I'm sorry, that's 300 yards passing. Let me rephrase that. They've given up 300 yards passing in 4 of its last 5 games. And in just the last 3, they've surrendered 1,000 total yards passing. So I'm going to go strength against what's perceived to be weakness, and I'm going to go ahead and say Florida wins this. And Jeff is also on Florida.
Yeah, I'm on Florida too. I'm more interested in the actual line of this game. So it's like a 14-point line to Florida. I don't think it's going to be that big of a difference. I think that Bryce Perkins is going to do enough to make it like a respectable game.
So comparatively here. So Clemson and Florida. Clemson had the number 1 ranked S&P Plus defense.
And nobody thought they'd be there.
And everyone doubted them. Florida has the 7th ranked, and I think that's probably why the spread is where it is. Seeing what Clemson did, I know that Florida is not Clemson, but seeing what Clemson did to UVA in the championship game, and Florida's also had, despite people sitting out for the draft, they've also had more weeks to prepare and to get healthy. I think Florida covers that 14.5 points.
I don't think they do. I think it's like a 10-point game, but
I hope it is for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, because
nothing would make me happier than seeing Bryce Perkins just absolutely ball out because he's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, but I'm gonna stick with Florida to win that game.
Another quarterback that's really fun to watch. We have the Alamo Bowl, Texas and Utah. I think I'm going to make this very short and sweet. I think that Tyler Huntley and Zach Moss are going to be pissed off as hell that they got just embarrassed by Oregon. And I think they're going to rock Texas into 2012. They're just going to absolutely blow the doors off of them. I've got Utah.
What about
Jeff? Also has Utah.
I'm going to go Utah too because, and at the end of the game, Sam Ehlinger is going to say, "We're back to mediocrity.
We're back to 6 losses a year."
Yeah, Texas doesn't have much this year. They look kind of lost, and Utah doesn't.
And they don't have the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator they've had all season. So I think there's going to be something that's going to happen there. Ehlinger,
R.I.P.
Yeah,
R.I.P. Tony Orlando.
Yeah, everybody pray for Orlando. The Belk Bowl, Kentucky 7-5, Virginia Tech 8-4. It's Hendon Hooker versus Lynn Bowden Jr.
It's in our backyard.
It's in our backyard. It's in Charlotte. I think. Oh, you know what? I pulled this number. So the S&P Plus numbers. Tell me if these sound familiar. So Kentucky is 65th offensively and 32nd defensively. Virginia Tech are 60th offensively and 38th defensively. It's basically the Spider-Man pointing meme, but in a bowl game. Virginia Tech and Kentucky they have some great tackling in their defenses. They're both not spectacular, but they're good. And it's going to come down to Hendon Hooker and Lynn Bowden Jr. I think that Kentucky, just going 1-to-1 here, Hendon Hooker obviously can pass. They don't even try to pass with Lynn Bowden. It's not worth it. He's a receiver after all. I think he's so electric that it won't matter, and I think Kentucky's going to cover, and Kentucky's going to beat Virginia Tech outright. Jeff has Virginia Tech.
Give me Kentucky in my new fantasy football strategy of quarterbacks don't matter.
Quarterbacks instead of running backs don't matter, it's quarterbacks don't matter, or it's just passing doesn't matter.
No, just quarterbacks in general, because all you have to do is get a receiver and
yeah, I mean honestly, it's,
load up on receivers that are doubling as quarterbacks.
We used to have a guy that, oh man, I forgot his name, but we used to, in high school, everybody would play NCAA football together or Madden, and he would always pick Oklahoma. And he would always put whoever their number one running back was at quarterback and just run the triple option. And it was so annoying because it worked. It worked so well. And Kentucky just decided to do that this year when they didn't have any more quarterbacks left. And it's worked out great for them.
Oh, that just reminds me too much of Mike from New York. That probably doesn't listen, but still.
The Mike that lives now in Charlotte, though.
Yes. Okay. When he drafted Terrell Pryor in Madden and turned him into a running back.
That's so disrespectful.
It's so ridiculous.
So disrespectful.
And then he'd run like halfback passes too, like in the middle of games, like whatever. So dumb.
Well, thank you for listening, Mike. Hope you're still listening. So the Sun Bowl.
No, he knows it's dumb. He knows it's dumb.
We've had
Chris and I have had many a discussion with him how dumb that was.
So there's another really good quarterback, Jaden Daniels out of Arizona State. They're going to play Florida State. This game was decided for me the minute that Cam Akers said he won't be playing. I've got it. The Sun Devils winning, and Jeff also has Arizona State winning. You can only agree with him 5 times, right? Did we say that? Was that the number we said?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so you've done it once.
No.
Twice. I'm counting.
Maybe.
3, 4. So if you... 5. You've already used your 5 up.
Shit. Okay, so no, I can't... Florida State's got this one. It's just a no-brainer. I mean...
There's also going to be more bowl games, by the way, because we're going to record next week. We're going to talk about the playoffs, but I think there's still like 5 more bowl games between the playoff game and between New Year's Day and the actual championship game.
I'm all right going Florida State in this one.
Okay. All right.
As much as, I know that Cam Akers is Florida State, but I just feel like Herm Edwards just isn't going to be there to play to win the game.
It's a good point. It's really not, but I think you also...
It's not at all.
Here's the reason I would give you. Florida Atlantic lost their head coach, and they hired another coach.
And they slapped up on SMU.
Yep. So and SMU led by Sonny Dykes, who used to coach in the Pac-12, Arizona State in the Pac-12. There's your link. So Florida State property, Liberty Bowl, Kansas State, and Navy. Kansas State, really fantastic year for Chris Kleiman, his first year. They kind of stumbled towards the end of the season, I believe. If I remember correctly, they lost to West Virginia, which is never a good look. These teams have never played each other, ever, which is crazy because I figured Bill Snyder would have at least scheduled it once in the last 60 years he's been coaching. Navy coming off a absolute hammering of Army. Malcolm Perry, who is, I believe, now the all-time leading scorer in Navy history. Either production in yards or points or both, I think. Malcolm Perry's phenomenal. So it's really going to be Malcolm Perry here versus Kansas State. And a pretty good Navy defense, too. Jeff has Navy, and I'm inclined to lean that way. But for me, Chris Kleiman came from the FCS, and they dominated at North Dakota State. What is so difficult to prepare for? The triple option, right? We always hear about it, especially if you're not playing teams regularly. Well, I'd be willing to bet that in the FCS level, you're playing more triple option teams. So I think that benefits Chris Kleiman, and I'm going to go Kansas State.
I'm going to go Kansas State, too. I feel like they're kind of on the precipice of something kind of fun there. And I'm going to say that they're going to be a team that can win like 8 games a year for the next, 5 to 7 years. And I think they're on the start. They're starting that trend off, and they're going to win this game.
Yeah, they wore alternate uniforms, I think, for the first time, maybe ever, this year, which is something. And Navy's only 2 losses were to Memphis and to Notre Dame.
The only way I wouldn't pick Kansas State is that the Liberty Bowl was won by Liberty.
Maybe there's a run-in. They're high off their win over Georgia Southern.
Yeah, Hugh Freeze just rides in on his hospital bed.
He got the cure from the Cure Bowl, and they decide to conquer the Liberty Bowl.
He runs in. He's holding his IV bag high above his head.
We've got the Arizona Bowl, Wyoming, Georgia State. Both teams are 7-5 this year. Both teams beat an SEC East opponent. Wyoming beat Mizzou. Georgia State beat Tennessee. The bad news for Wyoming, they are going to be down to their 3rd-string quarterback, and their 2nd-string quarterback, Tyler Vanderwall, which is the widest name, when he was playing, there's a slight chance he might play. He was pretty bad. Georgia State.
He's from the Netherlands.
He's the Dutch Wyoming quarterback. There's a really good balance out of Georgia State's offense. I think that Georgia State might dominate this game, honestly. And Wyoming are currently 7-point favorites. Jeff picked Wyoming. I'm going Georgia State.
Give me Georgia State.
You hear that, Jeff? Suck it.
Yeah. I don't know much about this game, but Georgia State, from what you just said, Georgia State sounds like a better pick, and screw you, Jeff.
Yeah, at this point in the year, I think at worst, they're equal, and Georgia State's healthier. That's the pick for me.
And at worst, and at this point of the year, suck it, Jeff.
January 1st. This is Alabama's first non-New Year's Six bowl since 2011 when they beat Michigan State 49-7. So they hate Michigan teams when they're not in the New York Six.
What is this New York Six you're talking about?
The New York Six. It's the games decided by the playoff committee. That's what they decided, that it was UVA in Florida, Memphis, Penn State, and what is the other one?
See, I was thinking New Year's Six, and I thought that you were.
Did I say New York Six?
Yes.
Okay, I meant New Year's Six. I guess I just abbreviated to NY6. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. No, you're right.
New York Six like twice, and I'm like, what are the New York Six? I mean, are these? Why are we? What?
So Jeff isn't here to defend himself with Michigan, and I'm actually kind of inclined to pick Michigan because Alabama, they're the better team. Thus, there's more people that I think are going to skip this bowl game. They haven't had an opportunity to in a long time because they've been in the playoff every year. The only other side of that is
Saban might skip the game.
Yes, Saban's going to take an early vacation. There's 2 other things that give me a reason to pick Alabama here. One is that Josh Gaddis, calling plays for Michigan, played for Saban. I'm sorry. He coached for Saban last year. Also, I think Mac Jones is better than Shea Patterson, which is maybe not that hot sports opinion, but if he's not a better quarterback, I think he does have better receivers. And so for that reason, wow, Jeff picked Alabama. Wow.
Oh, no.
I'm going to pick Michigan then.
Oh, no.
Okay, Jeff has lost faith in his own team.
Oh, this is a dark day.
Everybody pour one out for Jeff. He's having a hard... I know he's hunting down Steve Adazio right now, but...
I know he's looking for the ghost of Cordell Stewart. Give me Michigan. I'll have the faith for you, Jeff.
We'll carry that flag for you.
I'm sorry I have to do it for you.
Yeah, go Big Blue and all that.
Yeah. Give me Arrington.
We've got Minnesota and Auburn in the Outback Bowl.
Give me Mario Manningham.
Give me Mike Hart.
Give me Tim Biakabatuka.
So the Outback Bowl, we're moving on because we're at 50 minutes. We still have to talk about the playoffs. Outback Bowl, Minnesota. I want Minnesota to have a chance. I really, really do. And then I see what Auburn did to Purdue last year, which was just absolutely dominate them. I think they're probably going to do the same thing to Minnesota, unfortunately. So I have Auburn picked. Jeff also has Auburn picked.
Oh, row the boat. Give me Minnesota. I want that to happen so bad. I feel like that's a bad pick, but give me Minnesota. I think this could be like the surprise kind of like oh, I didn't see that happening.
And it would be. I mean, besides it already being a surprise that Minnesota's 10-2, them finishing with 11 wins and beating a good SEC opponent.
Yeah. Well, I think it's that whole Big 12 SEC matchup right there. It's like, Big 12, whatever. It's not Ohio State. They're not going to be able to handle an SEC team. No, I think that Minnesota might actually do this.
I might have called it the New York Six, but you just called you called the Big 10 the Big 12 twice. So
that's because there's 12 teams in the Big 10.
I know, and there's only 10 teams
10 in the Big 12.
I know, this is all so stupid. I hope the next conference realignment they change the names. They've got to.
Just turn it into Legends.
Well, it's a Legends Leaders Conference. The Leadership Legends Conference Memorial. Rose Bowl, Wisconsin, and Oregon. These are really two really good teams. It's going to be Jonathan Taylor versus Justin Herbert. I think CJ Verdell is going to be the deciding factor in this game, whether or not he can get free against a really good Wisconsin team. Jonathan Taylor is looking to become the first player since Ricky Williams to lead the country in back-to-back seasons rushing.
Whew.
So I'm picking for that not to happen, and Oregon is actually going to smoke Ricky Williams, Wisconsin. Jeff also has Oregon.
Ooh. Actually, give me Wisconsin. I'm all right with that. Jonathan Taylor. This is his last college game, man.
I don't think there's a wrong pick here.
Yeah,
I think this is honestly going to be a really
fun
good game.
Matchup. Yeah,
me too. I think so too. What is not going to be fun is the Sugar Bowl, Baylor against Georgia. I had a few notes here. One of them is Let's Go Baylor. The other one was Do Not Watch This Game. It'll be very boring. And the other one is the top two receivers for Georgia are going to miss this game. So take the Baylor Bears because we saw what Jake Fromm is unable to do without a top receiver. And the rushing game has also been pretty sketchy. I'm not sure Swift is even going to be playing because he's been hurt on and off too. I've got Georgia. I'm sorry, Baylor. And Jeff also has Baylor.
Ooh, I don't like this. Give me Georgia. I could see that backfiring and having their backup running back coming out and just having a day.
All of a sudden, he's like the Heisman favorite next year because you never heard of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the really key matchup for me, too, is the Georgia offensive line against Baylor's defensive line. Because Baylor's defensive line are dogs, dude. They are so good.
Let's also face it, this game is going to end 17-13.
I kind of hope... There's so many games in this schedule that I think are going to be high scores or blowouts. I'm okay with a 17-14 good, hard-fought game. Not like a 10-7 TCU Cal from last year was a show. So maybe it'll be this. Maybe it'll be 10 combined turnovers between both teams, and Baylor's going to edge it out.
Jesus.
And Matt Rule, if he does win, I suspect he's probably gone for the NFL.
Ooh, okay.
Pretty big rumor. Washington wants him. Whatever their mascot is.
Maybe Jacksonville can swoop in.
Ooh, that would be a great fit. Talk about trying to change a culture.
God, I want a young coach that can do something.
That turned around just a program that got gutted. All right, so our playoff games. Do you want to go... do you want to go Peach Bowl, LSU, Oklahoma first, or do you want to go Ohio State, Clemson first?
That surprised me.
Okay, Ohio State and Clemson. Let me read off some statistics here. Scoring offenses. Clemson is 4th, Ohio State is 1st. Total offense. Clemson is 3rd, Ohio State is 5th. Top scoring defense, Clemson is first, Ohio State is second. Both of these teams are phenomenal on both sides of the ball. And there is not a wrong pick in this game. The two arguments you'll hear is that Clemson has not played anybody and that Ohio State is battle tested. But I think those can also tell another story, which is Clemson's healthier, more than likely. They've been fresher. They've been able to get a lot of depth and a lot of playing time with that depth. And Ohio State, while being really, really, really great, has also been playing hard games the last 3 or 4 outings.
I think another storyline is that Clemson has been there before.
It's a good point. That is a really good point. Here are some of the players that are they're not going against, I guess they are going against each other, but not on the field at the same time. So you have J.K. Dobbins versus Travis Etienne. You have Trevor Lawrence versus Justin Fields. You have Higgins and Ross versus Olave and Hill. I imagine we'll probably look back in 15 years, and this is going to be kind of like was it Magic and Larry Bird that played in the NCAA tournament?
They did.
When it was Michigan State and Indiana State, and it was just kind of like, man, these guys, these great legends met back in college. I have a feeling this could be one of those situations when they look back at this game and you see all the name power. That's not going to help me make my decision at all. So I'm literally going to let my wife pick this for me. So the closer to the number 1 that she picks, I'm going to take Clemson. Closer to number 10, I'm going to pick Ohio State. Hey, Sarah, pick a number between 1 and 10. All right, so I'm Ohio State. She picked 8. So I picked Ohio State. I picked Ohio State. Jeff is taking Clemson. Kyle, what do you think?
I think that, it's little old Clemson, and nobody thinks that they're going to be there. And they're not going to be there, and Ohio State's going to win.
Oh, so it's the sacrifice. It's the soul stone. Clemson finally got the first overall recruiting class.
Yes, this is what they deserve. This is karma coming back to get them for claiming that they're, that nobody expects them to be there, and then being, preseason number 1, and then getting the number 1 draft or recruiting class with 6 5-stars. This is their comeuppance. Ohio State runs a train on them.
The Peach Bowl, LSU and Oklahoma. The last time that Jalen Hurts played in this stadium, it's in Atlanta, where the Falcons play. The last time he played in this stadium, he came in for Tua and beat Georgia in a comeback victory in the SEC Championship with Alabama. I know that you may not just outright believe, but you do think that there can be bad juju left in a room when something traumatic happens, right?
Sure.
Okay. Do you think the opposite is also true?
Yeah.
So I think that Jalen Hurts is blessed in that building. And he's also so blessed that he might actually threaten to beat LSU. But I think the blessing is only going to extend to his health. He's going to last the whole game, despite having to run it 40 times. I think LSU in a closer than you would think game, and that probably means they're tied sometime in the 3rd or 4th quarter, and then LSU runs away with it. So I've got LSU to cover. Jeff also has LSU to cover. LSU outright. Jeff has LSU as well.
I'm going to take LSU as well. Oklahoma, they're going to miss that defensive lineman that's out for the game.
Yeah, his last name has a hyphen in it.
The
Turner,
suspension. Yeah, that's not going to be an easy one to fix right there. They're kind of light on defense as it is, so that's not going to help them. I just think that LSU is just a better team.
So let me give you, so since we made our picks, let's talk a little bit more about it. So Jalen Hurts is also, he has experience with Dave Aranda's defense at LSU. So I think that kind of benefits Oklahoma. I'm just trying to make the case for maybe how Oklahoma makes this a close game.
I think it's going to be mildly close because I think it's going to be a bit of a shootout for a bit. I just think that LSU is going to get enough stops.
So I have a statistic, and it's more of it's not a hard statistic, but I had mentioned on this podcast before EPA, right? Expected points average. So
the Environmental Protection Agency. Yes,
exactly. So every play based on field position and down and distance has an expected point average associated with it. So if you were backed up at the 5-yard line, you have 95 yards to go, your EPA for that play would probably be somewhere around like -2, right? It's 3rd and 10, maybe. Your expected point average is -2. And you're looking for positive when you're in offense. If you throw a touchdown pass and it's a 95-yard touchdown pass, not pass. A 95-yard touchdown pass, it swings the EPA way over into the positives, right? So you kind of follow how it works. Yeah. So it's the inverse for defenses. Defenses want to be in the negative. They want the result of a play to be negative because that means they're doing their job. At the end of the year, Oklahoma's defense was averaging an EPA equal to Clemson, who's first. Oklahoma has, and maybe that's a credit to who they're playing, and Baylor's not exactly an explosive offense, and Charlie Brewer wasn't exactly in the game the whole time. So maybe you could look at that a little bit. But I think Oklahoma's defense is going to end up being better than people are thinking. Like, I think a lot of people are envisioning this being a 45-25 LSU win. I think it's probably closer to 35 for LSU, max score.
I can see that.
And I think Oklahoma, because the time possession game too, and their defense playing well, I think there's a chance they get in those 30s too. It's just kind of another note I wanted to point out. And I got that statistic from at CFB Nate, Nate. He is a great follow if you like sports analytics and specifically college football analytics. Kyle, do you have any parting words? We picked our games to January 1st. We're going to be recording on the 30th. The reason we kind of went ahead is because that 30th show is probably not going to hit till the 31st. And, we don't want to have an 18-hour-old episode that's already useless for a bowl game that's been played. So that's kind of why we're pacing it out this way.
Sure.
Which game, other than the college football playoff game, are you absolutely going to watch no matter what? You're going to force yourself to watch it.
I really want to force myself to watch that Washington State Air Force game.
I will say, I think the game starts at like 9:30 Eastern time.
That's fine. What day is it?
December 27th on a Friday night.
Oh, I could probably do that to myself.
Do you want to come over to my house and watch it?
Maybe.
Let's do it. You know what? I'm here for it, dude. Let's do it. Sorry, Jeff. You're not invited because you're in Colorado.
Maybe I might do that, yeah.
Just get real shitty with it. We'll see the end of Iowa USC, I think, is the game that leads into it. Yeah, I think that is probably my pick. I think a sleeper pick would be Kansas State and Navy. I think that might actually be kind of a fun game, too.
Yeah.
That's everything I got. At RunPodOption on Twitter, guys. RunPodOption@gmail.com. If you want to email us, do you have any questions, do you have any requests, something we want to talk about, whether it's recruiting, particular coach hire, whatever it might be. Kyle, what else you got?
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Enjoy your family, enjoy yourself, whatever you want to do. Just have a good time these next couple days and refresh yourself for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
starting of next year.
May it be as free of stress as possible. And I made the joke at the beginning of the episode, for Christmas or for the holiday season, give the gift of our podcast to one of your buddies. It's kind of a silly joke, right? But also, if you do have a college football fan that you're friends with that you think would dig it, we would really appreciate it because we're probably not going to meet them, right? You're listening to this in New York and Colorado, and I think we had a Wyoming in there at least once or twice.
Congratulations, you're one of 50 people that live in Wyoming.
Yeah, don't know if he was the Dutch quarterback, though. Don't know if he was the Dutch quarterback. I know we at least have 3 people from the Western Michigan football team that listen.
That's awesome.
So maybe we can get more MAC representation here.
Go Bronx.
All right, guys. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Say goodbye, Kyle.
Bye-bye.
Hi, my name's Joshua Tracy.
And I am Corwin Heller.
And we are the hosts of a statistics and sports podcast called Juicing the Numbers.
We cover the NFL, college football, MLB, and the NHL with anything that we like to talk about in between.
If you like sports and the numbers behind it, come check out our show, Juicing the Numbers, on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you find podcasts. Hit us up on Twitter at JuicingPod.